Hi, I was wondering, this is a thoughtful question for anybody. What has been the biggest surprise about your users from when you first were developing your product or in the early stages of it to what you learned? What's the wackiest thing that your audience surprised you with?
Well, I can start this. I mean, we haven't been going that long at all in terms of working with the actual kids, but I know that I've been surprised by how quickly they get it. I mean, we have a pretty sophisticated fictional world that we've developed, and the girls that are on there, when we invited them on, they had not read the book. They had about a paragraph of narrative about this character, and we had one spot where we kind of told them that they were supposed to become a character, but then in interviews that I did with them later, none of them had read that. And I was talking to them and I said, you know, like, was it hard? Were you confused? You saw these people, they were talking about this girl Amanda, you've never even heard about this girl Amanda, and they're like, yeah, you know, some of them said, yeah, I was confused. And I said, well, how'd you figure it out? And they're like, well, I watched the other girls. And I said, oh, how long did it take you? And they're like, oh, a really long time. And I was like, oh, well, like, how long? Like, what can we do? And they're like, yeah, like 5 minutes. So I think that, like, their adoption and what they can understand and what they just immediately get it, and they've immediately thrown themselves into this world that doesn't necessarily exist. I mean, this isn't something that they're doing in other forms of entertainment, and so I think that that was a huge shock to me.
I can say how quickly they become sophisticated and they learn the tools that you give them. So our early videos of like campus tours was just a student going around campus and talking into the camera. But as things have gone on, we asked students recently, how are you saving money in a bad economy? And we got a student from Princeton who said, I'm becoming a freegan, I'm only eating food from dumpsters. And he made a 12-minute documentary about going dumpster diving. He brought it, like, this had cuts, it had music, and he took us to the dumpsters, he took the food, he brought it back home, he ran from the police, he cooked it, and he ate it. So just comparing, we've only been live just over 6 months, what those early videos were versus something we're seeing now. The other thing is, what users will upload, because when you do have a user-generated site, you don't always know what you're going to get. And it also has implications with things like keywords that people are using to get into your site and SEO. We had on a lot of campuses, there's the vagina monologues, and they performed them, and we had a lot of photos and videos and documents about this play up on our site. And we were looking at keywords that led people to our site, and we found we got a lot of traffic one day, and we couldn't figure out why. And it just so happens that the more content you have on a particular topic, you get all sorts of people that are coming to your site. So that was interesting.
One of our best generators was when we partnered with Women on the Web. It's a site for women over 40, but the people looking for them weren't looking for that.
I would say that from a process perspective, I was actually gave an interview yesterday, and somebody asked a similar question, and I said that, at least speaking as a first-time entrepreneur, I started out, and I think most people start out this way, wanting to build a product, and you pretty quickly move to wanting to build a business. And what that means from a product perspective is that I started out and I said, I want all these cool features, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to do all these amazing things. And then we started developing and we started talking to users, much like what Michael was saying, and it turned out that 50% at least of what I thought was going to be cool, the people who were only 6, 7, 8 years younger than me thought this was they had no interest in this whatsoever. And so thankfully we caught that stuff early and so iterated appropriately. And what it means when you think about building a business instead of building a product, what it really means is building the product that your users really want and will pay for.
Any other questions?
I was gonna throw it in.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I would say one thing that's really surprised me was if you participate in the kind of hemisphere or atmosphere of the social web and hang out with the different companies that are working in the space and go to different events, there's actually a lot of like best design practices that work, right? If you build the right product, how you design that product and the calls to action you throw in and the kind of like the user task flow as they come into the site and there are lots of design somewhere in between methodology and tricks, and then also A/B testing and experimentation that actually works, right? And before I started this company, I had zero clue about any of this, right? And I had a zero clue about like genuine product design. And I would say learning about that earlier is really, really good, because you can build the right feature set with the wrong design, and you wouldn't even know you built the right feature set or the right product, right? I would just throw that in there. Pay attention to design really early, because users are way more responsive to design, and I don't mean visual design, I mean like user interaction design, than you might think they are.